What's up, movers? I'm Coach Hal. Today we are covering the access squat. So we are taking our loading drills, we are bringing it up to our 2 feet. We are standing bilaterally using both feet on the ground at once, and we are going to be pulling our hips back, pulling back and opening up the hips, ready to come into our resting squat here. But in order to be able to do this resting squat, we need that outside, that external rotation of the hip with the hips going back. So in order to be able to work our way into that movement, we want to just find engagement, and once we find engagement, play with little micro movements, scrubbing out the hips, learning to bring the hips back and open them up for really good loading patterns, as well as enabling the resting squat for resting positions. So let's go ahead and get started with the access squat. You can go ahead and just be on 2 feet with no assistance. However, I would highly encourage some type of assistance, whether it be a wall, a pole that you can hold on to, maybe you have a stick nearby. This is really going to help us in the beginning stages of this movement. So whenever we are doing an access squat, as always, we want our feet pointed forward. That's going to be our second toe from the big toe pointing forward. We always want to be on the outer balls of our feet, so we are not driving into the heel, we're not dumping into the inside here. We are on the outer blades and balls of our feet. If you need some assistance from the cuboid bone, so looking at this outer blade part of the foot and maybe a little bit outside heel, inevitably as we stand here, our heels are for a resting position, but we are trying to be active here. So not engaging the heels and slightly having the heels off the ground a bit is ideal. But once again, if you are not there yet and you need some assistance with heels into the floor, that's okay, as long as heels are not the primary pressurizing system. We want balls and outside blade of the feet to be the majority of where we are funneling our pressure into the floor. You can picture this as if your feet are on the ground and grabbing the floor, trying to grab and pull the floor behind you with just simply scrunching the foot using the strength of the foot. So as I stand here, I'm going to be about fist width apart, maybe a little bit wider, whatever is really comfortable for you. Feet straight, knees straight, and our first point of movement with the access squat is hips going back. It's very common to see people start a squat with knees coming forward, then hips going back. That is not what we're looking for. That's simply a lot of reasons why that's wrong, but let's just focus on bringing hips back. And as we bring our hips back, we should see the knees start to point outward. Both knees go out, and we are not simply just taking our knee and driving our knee out over our foot and kind of irritating the T-band of the outside quad here, outside portion of the leg. We really want to try and work from our hips, driving our hips back and feeling the hip drive back and open. And as the hip goes back and opens, that's simply just going to open up the femur a bit and the knees will point out. So once again, if you need a support structure, go ahead and use that, whatever tool that you have nearby. If you're just going to go free flowing with it, you can take your hands, cup them at your pecs or your rib cage here, and always elbows are in and pulling back, making sure that we are having nice strong primal tunnels in our back, and also eyes and head up. We don't need to crank our neck like this, but we do want to make sure that we have a nice elongated decompressed spine. So this movement really is as simple as bringing our butt back, finding engagement in the glutes. Once again, the feet are gripping and pulling back on the floor, almost spreading wide with the floor through our feet, bringing our hips back and opening. And we don't need to go as far as we can. We want to go where we find engagement, open up that engagement a little bit further, and then just micro pulse here where we find that pressure and engagement and feel the hips opening. Notice as I do this, these are very small movements, and I'm bringing the movement here through my hips. I'm gonna actually take my thumbs or my index finger and rest them here on my hip flexor and feel my quads. And I wanna make sure as I'm doing this movement that I am not activating my hip flexors and I'm not using my quads at all to bring my hips back. This is all backside engagement, pulling with my feet, very, very active with my feet, pulling back, 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 bringing the butt back, and slightly opening with the hips, holding the pressure where I can, and waxing that hip through its capsule, through its range of mobility, range of motion. And if I don't want to go any further than what my body allows, if your range of motion is simply here to here, I don't want you forcing and trying to rip your knees open. It's just going to cause irritation on the outside of the calves. It maybe cause some weird funk up in the front. So, you know, go ahead and use your hands, feel your backside, make sure you're engaged. Once again, if you need a support system, whatever it is, maybe holding on here, and just make sure butt comes back, hips open, and the hips are opening the capsule for the femur to rotate rather than just taking our knees and ripping our knees open like this. I always have a mirror. I have a mirror to my side right here. So as I do this, I can see my butt come back and forward, see that my knees are not jutting forward or dropping down. The engagement is coming from my butt moving back, creating space, elongating, allowing the hips to open, and just bringing it back up, not until I lose pressure or bringing it to neutral, but I'm holding the pressure the whole way. You should feel lots of engagement in the hammies and the glutes here, and you may even feel your hamstring muscles kind of click over, and it's almost like a weird pop of a rubber band on the backside. And if you are feeling that sensation, that's a good sensation to have. That's just your muscles re-engaging, igniting, and rejoining the party. So if it's uncomfortable and a red light, obviously we want to get out of that, not repeat it, try and find any type of service that we can for assistance to work our way slowly back into the movement to make sure that everything is working okay. Once again, you can see I'm only using one hand here for assistance. If that's what works best for you, then go ahead and get into it. Last note here, just to make sure we're doing everything right. Watch how my hips and my sternum kind of work together in one motion. I'm not simply just kind of dropping my chest down. My hips are moving back, and that brings my chest with my hips. So this is the Access Squat. Good luck to you, movers. Keep it going. Stay blessed. Coach Howe out.